here, starting tomorrow when the legal tampering period begins in the National Football League as far as free agency goes. So we'll get you a full-scale preview of that as we roll throughout the program. But I do want to start in the world of college basketball. And I have been saying it really for the entirety of the season. This freshman class has about 7 to 10 dudes that can legitimately come in and alter the trajectory of a franchise. Bottom line. And I think what we saw yesterday is that we're a long ways away from settling and landing on who is the actual number one overall pick in the 2026 NBA draft. I know a lot of people here over the past couple of weeks have kind of shoehorned A.J. DeBonta into that spot. Well, Mr. DeBonta was in action last night, and I'll just say this about what we've seen from A.J. here over the past couple of games. We have not seen a young man that looks like he's deserving of the number one overall pick, if we're being totally honest here. Last night, when it comes to A.J. DeBonta, 21 points on 25 shots. Didn't shoot it well. Hadn't shot it well in a couple of games. If you go to the game that they played late last week, he had just 13 points in the loss against Cincinnati. So he is, or 23 points rather, in the loss against Cincinnati. So he is someone that struggled from the field here a little bit. I still think his smoothness and his ability to score at all three levels is obviously going to be the deciding factor as to whether or not he's the number one overall pick or not. But like I've said throughout the entirety of this process, when it comes to these freshmen, we're in a spot right now when it comes down to draft night in the summer, because the talent is so rich, because the guys are that good, because the class, quite frankly, is so deep, you're going to be splitting hairs in terms of who the number one overall pick is. You are going to nitpick. You're going to be overly critical. And you're really leaving no stone unturned in terms of trying to find the right answer to that question, meaning who is the number one overall pick. And I think we all know it. A.J. DeBonta, the star-studded freshman out of BYU, has as good of a case really as anybody in the country. We know that Cam Boozer, the freshman forward out of Duke, has as good of a case as anybody in the country. And we know that my main man, Darren Peterson, who I consider the best guard in college basketball, he's got a strong case, and he added to that strong case with his performance yesterday. Darren Peterson, for the first time this year, came off of the bench for Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks. And yes, I know it's against Kansas State, right? They're not good. I totally get that. You can't control who they put in front of you. You can only control how you perform. And yesterday, you got a glimpse into just how special Darren Peterson is. Off the bench yesterday, 29 minutes, 27 points, 10 of 15 from the field, and you saw everything that made him one of the top recruits in high school coming out this past year. The burst was on full display. You saw him turning the corner. The jump shot was falling. His ability to effortlessly score and create shots for himself and others at all three levels is the determining factor for me. He is the best guard in the country. So when it comes down to the number one overall pick, it's going to be, what's your flavor? What do you want? What are you looking for in terms of that number one overall pick? What I love is this, though. Throughout this year, we have witnessed the narrative change and change and change surrounding Darren Peterson, but nothing with him has changed. He's remained steady in his approach. He's remained steadfast in how he prepares. And last night, you saw the fruits of a healthy Darren Peterson. Last night, you saw the fruits of a healthy Darren Peterson and what he could do. Without a shadow of a doubt, when he's healthy, when he's right, there are not many players right now in the world of college basketball that are on his level that are even in the same tier as he is. I think there's one tier that all three of these dudes are in: Boozer, DeBonsa, and DP. Superstar status, club superstar is what we're calling these guys. They have it. Bottom line. Now, there was something that really caught everyone's attention yesterday outside of Darren Peterson in his absolutely ridiculous performance, scoring 27 points in the span of 29 minutes. Post-game, Darren Peterson got up to the podium and did this bit that every elite freshman does. Darren Peterson got up to the podium and gushed about how he loved Kansas, about how he loved the program, about how he loves his teammates. That's all fine and dandy. I have no problem with that at all. What I do get a little irritated with is what Darren Peterson said later on in his media availability. Darren Peterson that maybe he'll stay another year at Kansas. Darren Peterson hinting that maybe he's not going to be a one and done. The freshmen are throughout the country. And this is the second time that this has happened this week. We heard it earlier this week. From A.J. DeBonsa. But now we heard it again from Darren Peterson. Here is, for my money, the best guard in the country talking post-game about his future in Lawrence, Kansas. Are you really a elite college freshman if you don't do the one and done bit? If you don't pretend like you're not going to actually go? We all know it. I mean, no one's stupid here. He would be a damn fool not to go coming up this June in the draft. I'll be very honest and transparent with you. There's nothing that should stop Darren Peterson from going to the next level. Because the bottom line is this, like I've been trying to tell you all, really over the course of the past month, despite all the hoopla and scuttlebutt, these NBA scouts, these NBA executives, they can give a rat's ass that Darren Peterson has missed some games. They can give a rat's ass that Darren Peterson has been nicked up a little bit. That's not what they care about. It's not what they care about. That's not what's on their mind. Bottom line. When it comes to the landscape of college basketball and where things currently stand, I gave you the case for A.J. DeBonsa. I gave you the case for Darren Peterson. But the reality is the strongest case for the number one overall pick was made yesterday as well, and it was from Cameron Boozer of the University of Duke. I mean, I was totally floored with what I saw from Boozer yesterday. Now, mind you, it is against a Tar Heels team that is without Caleb Wilson, who I think very much should be in the conversation as well for that number one overall pick. But what you saw from Cam Boozer yesterday, 26 points, 15 boards, 5 helpers, 10 of 17 shooting, 2 of 4 from the great beyond. I loved everything about it. 6 offensive rebounds. He was big, man. And the one doubt that I have personally about Cam Boozer, because like I said, if you had to inject me with truth serum right now, I know who I wouldn't take as a number one pick. It'd be Cam Boozer. I know I just gave you the numbers. I know I just told you how great he was yesterday. I wonder and still have major question marks about his athleticism and how it translates to the next level. I want to know what he weighs in at. I want to know what his actual height and weight is. Duke lists him at 6'9", but I know how it goes in the college program, right? I'm a product of Division III, Bethany College of West Virginia. I stand at 6'2", 265, 270 pounds. I was listed as 6'4" in my college's program. So I know how freaky it gets when it comes to the program and when it comes to their willingness to add a couple of inches onto a dude. So my big question when it comes to Cam Boozer, I'm splitting hairs here, like I continue to say. Well, is he 6'9" or is he 6'7"? because that would change how I view him. My biggest question with Boozer is, will his game translate to the next level from an athleticism standpoint? He has been the most athletic, best player on the floor really for the entirety of his career, dating back to high school, dating back to the AAU circuit. He has been the guy. So when he's not the guy, so when the playing field evens itself out, which version of Cam Boozer are you going to get? Who's the real Cam Boozer? That's the question here. But yesterday, I thought he was brilliant in terms of what he was able to do on the floor. I think as we sit here right now in the world of college basketball, I still don't think we have a concrete answer on who the best freshman in the country is. I still don't think we have a concrete answer on who's going to be the number one overall pick. But some schools are starting to separate themselves in terms of who's a legitimate contender come the month of March and who's pretending here as we lead up to the month of March. There was a big-time upset yesterday, a couple of big-time upsets in the world of college basketball, but there's one that stands out above the rest, head and shoulders. The UConn Huskies, man, are a group that have the pedigree, that have the tradition and the history, led by Coach Hurley. They've suffered 2 losses, though, here in the past week that make you really scratch your head the legitimacy of UConn as a title contender. You play in the Big East, damn it. You should be like Miami of Ohio. You should be going undefeated through your conference schedule. Georgetown, give me a break. Providence, come on. UConn yesterday, coming into the weekend, ranked 4th in the nation, lost on the road to Marquette. And to add insult to injury, to make things look worse, to be even more trifling than it already is, Dan Hurley's ass got tossed in the waning moments of this thing. He is a big-ass baby. And I'm so tired of his act. And that's exactly what it is. It's an act. Anybody that falls for that Bush League BS, you're no better than he is. Bottom line, what type of example are you setting to the rest of the cats in your program when you act a damn fool the way that Dan Hurley does on a routine basis? Grow the hell up. How about that? Grow the hell up. Want to let you hear from Coach Hurley post-game. He had this to say about his ejection in the loss. We don't want to listen anymore. I'll be very frank with you, Dan. We've heard enough. I just don't like, where's the accountability factor? Like, you clearly acted an ass yesterday. And after having time to reflect, that's the best response you had? That was your reasoning? Dan Hurley's got to be better. But the bottom line is, after their loss yesterday, writing them off. They've been written off by me. Talking about the UConn Huskies. There are 4 clear-cut best teams right now in the world of college basketball, and Dan Hurley's ignorant ass is not a part of that list. Bottom line, what type of example are you setting to the rest of your program? Put that on the back burner. I'm talking about the basketball itself at this point. They look terrible. Bottom line, you've lost to Creighton and Marquette twice in the span of a week. You're supposed to be playing your best basketball come the month of March. And right now, the number 4 team in the land, who's got one of the most softest regular season schedules in America, they're tripping up here as we get geared up for the all-important month of March. I was beside myself yesterday. watching the game and then seeing the dumbass reaction of Dan Hurley. Carlos, you posed this question on the rundown, and I thought it was absolutely fascinating, and I want to get into it earlier. Did the Lakers dodge a bullet? Remember that whole conversation 2 years ago it was? When they won back-to-back natties, there was this conversation of, oh, maybe Coach Hurley should go to the Lakers. The Lakers know nothing about basketball at this point, and they're run like a mom-and-pop shop. Rob Pelinka doesn't know his head from his ass, and Jeannie Buss is a crybaby. But damn, they dodged a bullet, didn't they?
Yeah, I think both sides actually dodged a bullet, but right now, after last night's ejection and the way that UConn's kind of whimpered into the tournament, I think the Lakers have dodged a bullet right now. Dan Hurley looks like an absolute clown. He can't be a leader of men.
Can't be. Can't win with it. Can't coach with it. I just can't do it. Word to Mike Singletary. Big day in the world of college basketball. I mentioned that upset. The other upset that got my attention as well was BYU knocking off Texas Tech last night. A.J. DeBonsa wasn't particularly impactful, but the supporting cast was really damn good last night. You saw Wisconsin go on the road and knock off Purdue. You saw Louisville, who's a bubble team right now. They had a really big victory over the University of Miami. So as we get geared up for conference tournament season, some programs determining whether or not they're a contender or a pretender. A lot more to get to as we take you coast to coast here on this Sunday morning here on Westwood One Sports. You're tapped in to the youngest in charge, Lynnell Willingham. I'll get you up to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Massive fireworks this week and this weekend in the National Football League. NFL analyst Charles Davis joins us next to break it all down here on Westwood One Sports.
One of the offseason's biggest dominoes has fallen. Max Crosby traded to the Baltimore Ravens. Who will the next star on the move be? And where is he headed? Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
310-840-4910. You hit me up on every social media platform as well. It is at NELL_PTP. We appreciate you locking into the show however you're doing so. Hopefully, it's on one of our hundreds of affiliates out there via Westwood One Sports. You can check us out, the visual element of the show as well, on YouTube and X, streaming daily. So make sure you search us Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. You can get long-form content of the show, YouTube Shorts, and then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 3 hours in its entirety. Right now, I want to go out to the guest hotline for the first time in this show, where we find one of the best in the biz, NFL and college football analyst Charles Davis. You can catch him doing the NFL draft for NFL Network coming up next month. CD, what's going on, my man? How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I am excited, Charles, because anytime you're sitting and it's, the eve of free agency, basically, with the tampering period to open up on Monday, you're wondering, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? It feels like Max Crosby getting dealt eventually, Charles, was the worst kept secret amongst NFL circles. What was your reaction last night when the news comes across your ticker?
Yeah, I think we were just kind of wondering who it would be. Like, I know that they kept talking about him staying and trying to figure out a way. I just thought that for Las Vegas, you needed to be done with this.
Right.
He really didn't want to be there with where they've been. It's been a lot of years of disappointment, a lot of years of we'll come up with an idea. It's almost like the conversation I'm sure Cleveland has had with Myles Garrett.
Right.
But they just said, okay, here's a lot of money. This going to work? And it kind of went that way for him being around. With Max Crosby, I think obviously the final nail was, you guys know I play, right? And we're like, no, we're going to shut you down. Yeah. No, I still play. And that just kind of finished things off, or so it appeared from the outside. There's a lot more to it, but it's just a matter of, okay, who's going to get involved in sweepstakes? The interesting part is Baltimore doing something they don't normally do.
Right.
First literally. This is not what they do. Okay. So that tells me that in their evaluation, they really like the coach they got.
Yeah.
Defensive-minded coach in Jesse Minter. This is a guy who embodies play like a Raven. I mean,
right, literally.
I mean, I'm sure as soon as he got the call, he immediately put on purple and gold and had a 98 jersey. Probably drew a 98 on his shirt. I'm ready to roll. I mean, he fits perfectly. And as rough as last year was, it was just a missed field goal that kept them out of playoffs. So they know they're there.
Yeah. Get
Lamar Jackson taken care of contract-wise. Get him healthy. Get pumped up on that side of the ball. It makes so much sense. The term win-win is used way.
310-840-4910. You hit me up on every social media platform as well. It is at NELL_PTP. We appreciate you locking into the show however you're doing so. Hopefully, it's on one of our hundreds of affiliates out there via Westwood One Sports. You can check us out, the visual element of the show as well, on YouTube and X, streaming daily. So make sure you search us Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. You can get long-form content of the show, YouTube Shorts, and then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 3 hours in its entirety. Right now, a lot of people are using last year as a way to kind of talk down on the Ravens and maybe ask, is Lamar Jackson out of his prime or his best years now behind him? When you look at Lamar in the injury history over the past couple of seasons, are you at all worried about him moving forward? I'll just answer real quick, CD. I'm not.
Yeah.
I think he's going to go down as one of the absolute best ever. I think he got robbed for MVP in 24. And I think Lamar's the type of cat that thrives off of, outside noise, and he hears the chirping about his work ethic and things of that nature. I expect fireworks out of him next year.
Yeah, and it's all set up for him to do that. He has to go ahead and, do all of those things.
Right.
The numbers, the career, everything has been there. The interesting part for him now is John Harbaugh created an idea before they ever even took him. DeJuan Jones was a scout that really jumped up on the table and said, hey, guys, this dude's the real deal, okay? Yeah. Pounded it, jumped on it, jumped through the table like he was like a Buffalo fan, the whole thing, all right? I think DeJuan's in Atlanta now, and I don't think he's ever properly gotten the credit he deserves for really being as forceful about, hey, we really need to look at this guy. And then once they decided they really liked him, they created a plan of, hey, if we take him, this is how we would run our offense. Like you created an offense to submit to the higher ups, kind of like your term paper. Hey, this is the way it's going to go. And they created that, submitted it, the whole deal. And then remember, Ozzie Newsome, that was his last draft where he officially ran the draft. They traded back in at 32 and got Lamar Jackson, and off we went. Look, he played hurt last year. You and I have talked about that.
Yes.
Anyone who says otherwise, I'd like them to prove that to me. I watched it with my own eyes.
Right.
He wasn't doing things he normally does. He's not too old to still take off and run and all that. But in a weird way, last year may help him as he continues to advance in age about how to play the game without having to run for 1,000 yards.
I think that's fascinating perspective.
Right? That's where we're starting to head now with a Lamar Jackson. Can you still be effective when you don't run for 1,000, when you're not running for that much, but still be a part of it at the right times? I think last year kind of gave him a glimpse of this is what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And now it's under new management offensively, new management as a head coach, but still a lot of the same aspects of the organization. Their culture, who they are, that doesn't change because of all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll leave it with this, Lynnell. John Harbaugh was one of the biggest supporters, defenders of Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
He's got to forge the same type of relationship with the Jesse Minter as his head coach and with his new offensive staff, because there is an impression out there that he wasn't entirely thrilled with Todd Monken and crew. Okay, you got a new crew in. How's this going to go?
It's fascinating, man. As always, feels like it's something. I hope that, for his sake, he can get over the hump this year. Joined by NFL and college football analyst Charles Davis. Charles, I want to ask you about the move that was made a day prior with Buffalo going out and trading for DJ Moore. I don't just look at it as that move individually, CD. I look at, parting ways with Teron Johnson. I look at them parting ways with Taylor Rapp. I don't know if the casual football fan understands just how good Teron Johnson is and how much of a force multiplier he is in the secondary. But I'm looking up now, CD, like, well, what the hell are the Bills doing? Seriously.
Rapp doesn't. Let's just start with Taylor Rapp, who is one of my favorite people in the league, and it goes back to when he was playing at Washington, and I put a first-round grade on him, and I started getting phone calls from people like, "What?" And I was like, "This dude can play, man. I'm telling you, he can play." He ended up going in the second, played well for the Rams, played well for the Bills when he was healthy, and then he started to miss too many tackles, and he had too many concussions. So this doesn't surprise me at all. Taylor Rapp over the last couple of years, he's missed a lot of time, been dinged up a bunch. I'm not a doctor, not going to play one on TV. I just want to make sure the young man is able to remain healthy. Okay?
First and foremost,
that's the first thing. Second thing is we get to Taron Johnson, and you laid it out very, very well. In fact, in their own terms, a lot of times he was referred to because, he's a corner.
Right.
And then he became a star nickel because the Bills played that 4-2-5 almost exclusively. But he hit like a line. They started calling him a cornerback.
The cornerback, yeah.
Right? He was a cornerbacker. And
like
so he was one great player. Think about this now. A Weber State kid. Guess how many offers he had out of high school?
Probably only Weber State. Yeah.
He had Weber State. That was it. He was like a 0 or 1-star kid.
Wow.
Who's turned himself into a Pro Bowl nickel. But he's 8 years in the last couple of years, he's been dinged a little bit. So I think this is kind of part of what happens with the league. You start, okay, how are we going to spend our money? And you saw today where they put money into Connor McGovern, that offensive line, which has been so good for them for these years. Most people had McGovern gone. Like it was, he's not going to be in Buffalo. But guess what? He's still in Buffalo. And that's a big deal for them.
A mini win for them.
That's a win. That's a win because now they're going to have 4 out of 5 will be back. I don't know if Edwards, the left guard, is going to be back or not, or if he's already gone. But anyway, all that being said, so people are like, "Oh, what's happening in Buffalo?" I know Dane Jackson's gone too, but Dane barely played for him last year, and that was his second stint. That's almost a non-move. It's just more of a paperwork thing for Buffalo.
Yeah.
But they've got to continue to build on defense in a big way. And so now getting DJ Moore, it opens things up on that first draft pick that you don't have to go get receiver. You don't have to just absolutely got to have a guy. Although if someone good slips there, you can go there again, because I think they'll go there again in the draft. I just don't know if it'll be the first round. Yeah, I just don't know if it'll be the first round. I think defense now is kind of the target in the first round, but we'll see what Brandon Beane brings us at that point. But DJ Moore, good player. Is he truly a one? He gets his chance to flat out prove it. All right, this is your opportunity to flat out prove you are a one as a wide receiver one. I think Buffalo's going to go back and get more guys to try and help that out.
Yeah, I'm eager to see, what moves they make in between the margins, especially on defense. I know pass rush is something they're still searching for. They tried to put a Band-Aid on it last year with Bosa, who actually was pretty good and gave him some juice in the playoffs.
He did a nice job.
He did.
He actually played more games last year, Lynnell, right? Than a normal Joey Bosa year of the last 3 or 4.
So it's a win.
Because he plays so hard and he takes dings and the whole deal, but he's always out because he's legitimately hurt.
Right.
But last year, I think he managed to get all the way through. I don't think he played in week 18, but that was the team's choice. So that was a really big deal for Joey Bosa last year. But they still need juice. They need juice there. They need maybe sturdier linebackers, and the secondary needs help all the way through.
It's funny that you said sturdier linebackers. I think, and this is just a total aside, CD, like the way the game is changing, you want to match the offensive personnel, so you're getting lighter in the box, and then it kind of flips on you, and then we're going to run it at you. So how are you going to defend that? So it is a ever changing game of chess when it comes to the NFL. I got to ask you about the draft real quick, CD. We got about 2-3 minutes left with you. Appreciate you making some time for us, man. I'm in the minority on a take, CD, and I hate being in this spot. I'm eager to get the opinion of an expert like yourself. Man, I would just have a hard time with the rest of the dudes in this draft class, CD. I would have a hard time locking in on Fernando Mendoza as the number 1 overall pick from a ceiling standpoint. And this is where I expect you to correct me and say, well, hold on now, young fella. I just look at him as like at his best when it's 75 and sunny, right? I think he's Jared Goff. I think he's Kirk Cousins. I know Matt Ryan has been thrown out there. I just worry how he is able to maneuver under pressure. He's a guy that had 2 legit wide receivers in Surratt and Cooper. Cooper's probably going to go in round 1. Didn't have to get past the first read a whole lot. He was kept clean. And then you saw it in that college football playoff when Bain and Messidor started to get after him. He looked a little shaky. I wonder what it looks like for him when it's not 75 and sunny.
Well, it's not going to be 75 and sunny initially in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I'm about to say so, yeah.
Because that roster needs a complete overhaul, which is why you make the Max Crosby move. Now you got to pick at 1. You got to pick at 14. You get an extra number 1 for next year as well. John Spytek, the GM, and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in, right? Okay, what you going to do? Because that roster needs it. I saw a team play like 5 times last year. They were abysmal.
They were horrible.
They were really bad. They were really bad.
Especially up front. When Washington played them, man, our D-line was front runner, I would say, and they dominated that game.
So they've got to get help there. Like Colton Miller, the left tackle, if he's healthy. After that, you got to get help all the way through. But to get back to your point about Mendoza, we're going to have a lot of conversations, and most of them are going to center in, well, if he was in this draft, where would he go? If he was in that draft, where would he go? He would not go at the top of these drafts that we're talking about, right? If it was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, and that crew, where does he go? Maybe he goes 7th. Maybe he goes 6th. It depends on your flavor. But he's not going ahead of the guys we're talking about at the top. But here's the thing, Lynnell, and I have to keep telling myself and reminding he's not in that draft.
Right.
He's in this draft.
Right.
And he's the only legitimate quarterback I would even consider taking. And if you're Las Vegas, you're starting over. You have to have a guy. And if you start with a tough-minded kid, because, they got after him, but the kid kept picking himself up and finding ways to make plays. And, yes, I know we center in on the 4th down draw play, but it was more than that. There were other throws that had to be made, and he would make them. he showed me a toughness all the way through. Remember, he threw a pick six at Oregon and then came back and led the game-winning drive.
Yeah.
Right? So I love all of those things about him. If you're going to tell me Cousins, if you're going to tell me, like, I think Matt Ryan is better than Cousins. I think Matt Ryan is better than Goff. But if you tell me he's in that neighborhood, I'm not arguing with you. But all of them have been pretty darn productive in the NFL. The Raiders have to start somewhere, okay? Yeah. And you're not getting Caleb Williams. You're not getting Drake May. You're not getting Jaden Daniels. This is the best quarterback to offer now. You take him and you make him better by being better around him. So John Spytek, Tom Brady, they know their mission. They know their job. They've got to go do that and help this kid. I can see why you would do that. The rest of the quarterbacks, I got second round or third round grades on them. That's just me, okay? Other people will try and advance Ty Simpson into the first round. I've heard top 15 from some people. More power to them. Not me. That's just me, and that's not to take a shot at Ty Simpson.
I feel you. Look, you keeping it real. Keeping it real.
But I'm not there. If it's another draft, I don't think Fernando Mendoza is the top guy. But it's not that draft. It's 2026, and he is that guy. And he's proven to me a lot of times. That first play of the Ohio State game, the Big Ten championship game, when he got hit in the chops, my goodness, I thought he was dead. God almighty, he got killed.
He got beat up at Cal, too.
Yeah. He went up. Lynnell, he missed one snap.
Wow.
One snap.
So,
that
says a lot about him, yeah. That says a lot about him.
So I think there's a lot to him, talent-wise and what have you. Look, if you're going to give me Goff, that's not a bad career.
Right.
You're going to give me Cousins, that's not a bad career. So I get it. In this draft, he's clearly that guy.
Charles, I appreciate you as always, man, joining us on short notice, man. Hope the weekend is good for you, and enjoy free agency next week, man, because there's some dollars that are going to be spent, my brother.
There's some dollars going to be spent. I wish they were being spent on you and me.
Yeah, I know.
But you did bring up you did bring up this time period, and it's one of my favorite terms ever in sports. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to legal tampering. I love legal tampering.
Yes, indeed. That is Charles Davis. One of the absolute best here on Westwood One Sports Night. Love catching up with him, talking all things National Football League. And it's crazy as we sit here on the eve of free agency. Legal tampering period opens up tomorrow at noon Eastern time. And like we just said, man, some cash is going to be splashed. 310-840-4910 is the number. We're just getting rolling as we take you coast to coast here on a Sports Sunday on Westwood One Sports with the youngest in charge. Fireworks this week in the National Football League, and it began this past Wednesday with the LA Rams swinging a deal to put the rest of the NFC on notice. We'll go through all of the big-time moves in the National Football League next.
The Patriots are releasing star receiver Stephon Diggs.
catch up with him. Really insightful conversation surrounding the National Football League. Let's just say this about the NFL. Things are about to be on and popping. As the great Jim Ross once said, business is about to pick up when it comes to the National Football League. Legal tampering period opens up tomorrow in the NFL. And legal tampering, right? It's everyone's favorite term, legal tampering. The amazing part about this is that some of these deals are already done. Noon Eastern time, we're going to start seeing deals and get released, and the details of those deals are going to be divulged. And if anybody thinks that, these deals aren't agreed upon beforehand, you, my friend, are oblivious. I have a bag of air to sell you. As far as the lead up to free agency, I think you saw 3 teams really try and put the rest of the NFL on notice in terms of being aggressive and going out and doing everything they could to get better at this current juncture. As I keep referencing, legal tampering period opens up tomorrow at noon Eastern time. There were 3 mega deals that went down this week in the National Football League, the first of which involves the LA Rams, a team that is trying to put the rest of the NFC on rest of the NFC on notice, a team that's trying to show that, hey, despite Seattle walking away, hoisting the Lombardi last year, we, in fact, are the best team in the NFC. They go out and solve their biggest issue on their football team. They acquired Trent McDuffie from the Kansas City Chiefs. And here's what I will say about Trent McDuffie if the casual NFL fan doesn't understand just how impactful McDuffie has been here throughout the course of his career. For my money, I would call him probably the best nickel in the National Football League. There are only 4 defensive backs since 2022 that have 25-plus passes defensed, 15-plus QB hits, and 10-plus tackles for loss. Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James, Antoine Winfield Jr., and yes, Trent McDuffie. Notice McDuffie is the only corner out of those dudes. So he is a safety corner hybrid that plays with his hair on fire, and I fully expect him to help the Rams get over the hump. If you're looking at the Rams right now, relative to the rest of the NFC landscape, Seattle's losing Raheem Shaheed. They're losing Rick Woolen. They're losing Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker. That move earlier this week, in my opinion, clearly put the rest of the NFC on notice. And you got to be feeling really good if you're a Rams fan about what your team is looking like here as we approach free agency. The other big-time move that was made, the Buffalo Bills making several different moves. They clear up $12 million in cap space by moving on from Curtis Samuel, by moving on from Teron Johnson, by moving on from Taylor Rapp. We discussed that a little bit with our guy Charles Davis. I was not a big fan of them moving on from Teron Johnson, but they create $12 million in cap space. Connor McGovern just got signed. They're starting center to an extension, so they're going to bring back, at least 4 out of their 5 starters. We'll see what happens with David Edwards. But when it comes to Buffalo, this group has probably more pressure on them than any other team in the National Football League when you consider how last season ended. And you consider what they did moving on from Sean McDermott and making wholesale changes. So if you're Buffalo, you make that move to clear some cap. Then they go out and trade for DJ Moore, giving up a second-round pick. I'm not sure whether or not I consider DJ Moore a real legit number 1 wideout, but who cares what I think? Buffalo trying to get better here on the heels of free agency. The other big-time news that we got came late Friday night. Max Crosby, now a member of the Baltimore Ravens. That move to me also put not just the AFC on notice. I think he put the rest of the NFL on notice. I want to put you all on notice. Hit me up on the phones, 310-840-4910. Rams, Bills, Ravens, all making seismic moves ahead of the start of free agency. As we sit here on the eve of free agency, who do you think's the best team out of those 3? 310-840-4910. Your calls on that next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
Hey, we'll only use that to open the show.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
Still rolling with you as we take you coast to coast here on a Sports Sunday here on Westwood One Sports. You're tapped into the youngest in Charles Lynnell Willingham. I'll get you up to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I want you to hit me up on the phones with this at 310-840-4910. 3 blockbuster deals that went down within the past 5 days in the National Football League. The Rams giving up first-round draft capital to acquire Trent McDuffie, all-pro corner from the Kansas City Chiefs. The Buffalo Bills, they open up $12 million in salary cap space by moving on from Curtis Samuel, by moving on from Teron Johnson, by moving on from Taylor Rapp. They also made a big swing to go out and get DJ Moore. And that's the move I want to focus in on here right now. I want you to line up on the phone, so 310-840-4910. They go get DJ Moore. Obviously, the Ravens went out and got Max Crosby. Two-parter for you. Of those 3 teams, who's got the most pressure on them going into free agency to go out and continue to make big moves and swings? And then of those 3 teams, who's the best after the move? DJ Moore, new number 1 wide receiver for Josh Allen. Max Crosby, brought to Baltimore to bolster that pass rush. And then Trent McDuffie feels like the final piece of a flawless Rams roster. 310-840-4910. Of the 3 teams that made big moves this week, Baltimore, Buffalo, L.A., talking about the Rams, who's got the most pressure on them going into free agency? And then who's the best of those 3 teams right now? 310-840-4910. I totally feel like the Ravens put the rest of the AFC on notice with the move that they made on Friday night. That move not only should put the rest of the AFC on notice, I think it should put the entirety of the National Football League on notice. They added really a piece to their team that not only helps them on the field, but think about some of the conversations surrounding the Ravens near season's end. And all the things that came out about Lamar Jackson and his work ethic and so on and so forth. I am a guy that prefers my quarterback to be the leader. That's just how I get down. I prefer my quarterback to be the leader of a franchise. Based on some of the rumors that we've heard from reporters in Baltimore, issues like staying up late playing video games, issues like oversleeping practice. I don't know whether it's true or not, but clearly there's a disconnect that exists in that building somehow. I think Max Crosby is the perfect sort of culture setter, the perfect leader that maybe the Ravens have simply been lacking over the past several seasons. One thing you cannot accuse Max Crosby of is not giving it 110%. One thing you can't accuse Max Crosby of is not giving it is his all. So I think bringing him into that locker room is perfect for the fabric of that culture. I think he fits in seamlessly, and it may be the leader. It may be the leader that Baltimore's been missing here. It just may be. Now, in reality, when you look at these 3 teams, talking about the Rams, the Bills, and the Ravens, all 3 of them have a ton of pressure going into next year. All 3 of them do. I think clearly Buffalo's the team with the most pressure, in my opinion, at least. They're the team with the most pressure. I think when you fire Sean McDermott and basically place your shortcomings at his feet, I think you got to figure it out if you're Buffalo. They got to be active in free agency. They picked up $12 million additional dollars to spend by the moves that they made, moving on from Curtis Samuel, moving on from Teron Johnson, moving on from Taylor Rapp. How do they use the money? That's the big question. How will they use the money? How will they go out and spend? When it comes to Buffalo and where things currently sit, I hate to break it to you, Bills fans out there. You traded a second-round pick for a guy that's not a number one wide receiver. That's the reality of the situation, in my opinion here. He's not a number one, talking about DJ Moore. And the bottom line is, I hope the trade for DJ Moore, if you're a Bills fan, is the first of several different moves that are made to get Buffalo back on track. Because I'll tell you what, at a certain point, you fired McDermott. You've made moves to create more salary cap space. At some point, we got to start having a real conversation about why Buffalo lost last postseason. It was because of Josh Allen. Let's call it what it is. There's no way really to kind of sugarcoat it. Josh Allen is the reason that Buffalo lost to the Denver Broncos in the divisional round of the postseason, turning the football over. So I don't know if there's more pressure on anybody in the NFL going into next year than Josh Allen, than there is on Josh Allen. I got Swaggy McNolegs hitting us up. I always get a kick out of reading his YouTube handle. You can check us out on YouTube as well. Like, subscribe, and comment. Just search Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. You can get long-form content on the show, YouTube shorts, entire segments, and then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 3 hours in its entirety. Swaggy McNolegs says DJ Moore is a number one wide receiver. I beg to differ. I very much beg to differ. DJ Moore is not a dude that's going to consistently beat man-to-man coverage down in, down out. That's just not who he is. I got Marky says that I'm here for the Josh Allen hate. It's not that it's Josh Allen hate. That's not at all what I'm trying to spew here. I'm not a hater. I'm just real. You know how I get down, the author of authenticity. I don't play around. So Josh Allen, when you come up small in the postseason, the way that you have routinely, right? We got to talk about it. Question is this, though, at 310-840-4910. Three teams made big moves this past week on the eve of free agency. The Rams go out and trade for Trent McDuffie. The Bills free $12 million in salary cap room while also giving up a second-round pick to go get a new weapon for Josh Allen. The Ravens go out and trade for Max Crosby. All three of those teams taking pretty big swings here ahead of free agency. And I would say, from the standpoint of the Rams and the Ravens, they put their respective conferences on notice. Of the three teams, Buffalo, L.A., Baltimore, who's under the most pressure as we get geared up for free agency? And then looking at these three teams ahead of free agency, who do you think is primed and ready to be the best team post-free agency? 310-840-4910 is the number. I answered the pressure question, right? I think Buffalo is under the most pressure going into free agency here. They got to spend, they got to get pass rush, they got to hit on draft picks. I still think they need they need a legitimate X wide receiver for Josh Allen. Somebody where if you get man-to-man coverage and there's nobody over the top, you know where you're going with the football. They don't have that. I actually think Khalil Shakir is a good receiver. I think he's a slot, though. I wonder if you see a reunion where Stephon Diggs goes back to Buffalo now that he's available and able to sign with his team of choice. 310-840-4910. In terms of who's the best team out of those three teams as we get geared up for free agency, I think I'm still going to go with I can't believe I'm saying this. It's not the Bills. I'll tell you that. I know it ain't Buffalo. But the more and more I think about Baltimore, anytime you're able to add a player of Max Crosby's caliber to your roster, he is what I call a force multiplier. He makes everybody on your defense better. Your secondary just got better. Your pass rush obviously just got better. And in turn, your offense just got better because you shouldn't have to score as many points. The Ravens made this move because last year, what you saw from Baltimore was not Ravens football. Last year, the Ravens had the fewest sacks they've had as a team in 15 years. In 15 years. So adding Max Crosby is huge here. My big question moving forward for Baltimore is what do they do? One, what's the health of Justin Madubuike moving forward? There was some thought that his neck injury that he suffered last year was of the variety where you don't know if you'll see him ever again. So obviously you cross your fingers and hope that he is healthy and available for that group. You let Tyler Linderbaum walk after Eric DeCosta told you all offseason that, yeah, we have set made a record-breaking offer, a market-resetting offer to him. He didn't obviously sign it, so we'll see what happens with that. I still have questions about the Ravens. I love Lamar Jackson. I love what they have offensively. I want to see how Lamar acclimates to what would be his fourth offensive system since he's entered the National Football League. That's the interesting question here to me. 310-840-4910 is the number. Smig Mall says Seattle runs the NFC West still. I don't believe that at all. If you're out there stuck on stupid, thinking that the Seattle Seahawks are still the best team in the conference, despite losing the MVP of the Super Bowl, I can sell you a bottle of air. You'll probably buy that too. Genuinely. Really look at Seattle for what it is. One, are you going to get 2 good years of football in a row from Sam Darnold? That's my number one question with the Seahawks. History says no. You've lost Kenneth Walker. You've lost Raheed Shaheed. You've lost Tariq Woolen. They have suffered too many big-time losses for my liking to really buy in to Seattle for next year. I think the LA Rams, right now, as we sit here on the eve of free agency, knowing who Seattle's going to part ways with, I think the Rams are the clear-cut better team. I'm almost in a spot now that San Francisco is back healthy. I'm almost in a spot where I may look at the Niners as even being a better team than the Seattle Seahawks. But the bottom line is it's an interesting conversation, and it speaks to just how loaded the NFC West ultimately is. It speaks to just how loaded that conference actually is. I am really trying to figure out when it comes to the NFC, I'm really trying to figure out, was last year real? Was last year real in the NFC? Because there's one team in this conference that for whatever reason we like to gossip about. We want to see them infight. We prey on their downfall, so on and so forth. One team. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. You would think that Philadelphia was some 8-win team the last couple of years. They've been to the Super Bowl in 2 out of the last 4 seasons, and there are folks out there clamoring for A.J. Brown to get traded. There are folks out there begging for Nick Sirianni to be on the hot seat. The bottom line when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles is this. You shouldn't be in the business of giving away good football players. And I know that big game Howie Roseman is not that type of cat. Now, here's the thing when it comes to Philadelphia and why I think they'll be better next year. I think Kevin Patullo was the big issue last year. And I'm not the guy that normally, leans into coaches and says, oh, it's on the coach. Oh, it's on the coach. But I think schematically, you saw the issue with Philadelphia. That was a group that in 2024 was the best rushing offense in the NFL. Last year, they dropped all the way to 14th. In order for Philadelphia to be the best version of themselves, they have to get Saquon Barkley going. They have to. And as far as that goes, they got good news. When you bring in Sean Mannion, who is a disciple of Sean McVay, a disciple of that Shanahan-McVay scheme, I expect things to look different offensively for Philadelphia. I expect Jalen Hurts to be under center. I expect them to lean into the running attack. And let's not forget this. when it comes to Philadelphia. That's a top 10 defense in the NFL that has an all-pro at every level, right? That is a top 5 offensive line in the NFL. They found out they're going to get Landon Dickerson as well as Lane Johnson back. They lost Jeff Stoutland, who was the architect of this whole thing. But I think Philadelphia is the most overlooked team in the National Football League. I don't think it's even close. People preying on the downfall of the Eagles is cute. I'm a Commander fan, so I can't stand the Philadelphia Eagles. But I'm also the author of authenticity here on this network. I also keep it realer than anybody you know. Don't be surprised when Philadelphia is back running the NFC next year. Don't be surprised when Philadelphia is back in the driver's seat of the NFC conference next year. That's how it feels to me. That's the type of talent that they have. 1 through 53. Are there 5 better rosters in the NFL? I don't know if I can say that. 310-840-4910 is the number. 310-840-4910 is the number as we take you coast to coast here on Westwood One Sports. 3 blockbuster deals went down this week in the National Football League. The Rams acquire all-pro corner Trent McDuffie. The Bills clear $12 million in space and go get DJ Moore. And then the Ravens on Friday night acquire Max Crosby. Of the 3 teams that made big moves, who's under the most pressure going into free agency to continue those big-time moves? And then of those 3 teams, if you had to pick one right now, who do you think's the best? 310-840-4910 is the number. Let's go to our guy, Mr. Positive, Greg, out in Michigan, wanting to chime in. Greg, what's going on, pal? How are you?
Hey, Lynnell, thanks for taking my call. Everybody go for your dreams. Hey, I got to tell you, that's a great question. Wow. I think Josh Elvis Allen, that is under the most pressure, and they got a good receiver. I'm worried about the pass rush. But when you look at it, you've got to concede that Lamar Jackson probably has the best chance to win the Super Bowl with Max stopping the run, stopping the run. They say he can do it. He's not necessarily great at getting to the quarterback, but he knows how to stop the rushing game. So, wow.
I would strongly push back on that. In terms of him not being, I would strongly push back on Max Crosby not knowing how to get to the quarterback consistently. I think that's his ace card, so to speak. But I get your point.
Okay.
And I think we've been on the same page with this the entire time. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, 2 quarterbacks that have the most pressure on them going into this NFL offseason. And I think their teams are under the most pressure as well to surround them with the best supporting cast possible. You said DJ Moore is a good receiver that they acquired. I don't know if I necessarily buy that. We're up against it, Mr. Positive. I got to let you go, but I appreciate you checking in as always as we continue to take you coast to coast here on a Sports Sunday with the youngest in charge, Lynnell Willingham. Phone lines are open for you, 310-840-4910. 3 seismic moves made in the NFL. Bills clear $12 million to get a receiver in DJ Moore. Ravens bolster their pass rush with Max Crosby. And the Rams filled really the only hole on their roster. Now that the dust is settled and we're on the eve of free agency, which of those 3 teams is under the most pressure heading into free agency? And then bottom line, who's the best as we get geared up for free agency? Your call's on that next.
One of the
Westwood One Sports continues as we take you coast to coast here on this Sunday morning. I'll get you up to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Hit me up on the phones, 310-840-4910. Taking your calls on who's got the most pressure on them going into free agency in the National Football League. Tomorrow, noon Eastern Time, the legal tampering period in the NFL opens up. And at noon, you're going to start seeing a bunch of deals getting broken and announced because the tampering period is the stupidest thing ever. Just saying. These teams and agents have been talking probably for weeks now. So tomorrow we'll get to see what deals have already been agreed to starting at noon Eastern Time. But ahead of free agency, man, there are a couple of teams that said, to hell with that. We're not waiting for the legal tampering period to open for us to get better. Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City. Buffalo, Baltimore, Los Angeles. Talking about the Rams. All swinging big-time deals this week to improve their roster. Kansas City going out. The Rams, rather, going out and acquiring Kansas City All-Pro corner Trent McDuffie. I think when you look at the Rams and what their Achilles heel was last year, the only issue they had was in the back end. And I think we're in a period right now in the NFC where after that move that the Rams made, getting Trent McDuffie, they, to me, are the clear-cut best team in the conference. And I know what people are going to say about Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. Look at what they've lost. No Kenneth Walker, no Raheem Shaheed, no Tariq Woolen. And then are we really trusting that Sam Darnold is going to put together 2 good seasons in a row? Is that what you all want me to believe? I don't. Hadn't happened yet. Right? And I know someone tweeted at me and said, I love you, Lynnell, but questioning whether Darnold can put together 2 good seasons after 28 wins in 2 years with 2 different teams is pretty silly. He was god-awful down the stretch for the Minnesota Vikings in year 1. That just is what it is. I'm not a QB wins guy. I look at how the quarterback played. And he didn't play particularly well in the Super Bowl either. So I'm not here to crap on Sam Darnold. I just have my doubts and my reservations here. I think with the acquisition of Trent McDuffie, the Rams have surpassed the Seattle Seahawks for the best team in the conference. Just my thought. And I'm also willing to take it a step further. If Philadelphia is able to land a Jonathan Grenard off the edge, if they're able to fix whatever issues they've had offensively, that's another team I would prefer over the Seattle Seahawks. Just because you won the Super Bowl doesn't mean you're the best team. That's how I would put it. Do I need to repeat that for those that are the hearing impaired? Those teams that win the Super Bowl doesn't necessarily mean you're the best team going into next year. It just is what it is. The landscape of the National Football League is constantly changing. So just because Seattle was the best team, 2 months ago, doesn't mean they're the best team now. Question is this on the phones at 310-840-4910. Rams made a big move, getting McDuffie. Bills make a big move, freeing cap space and acquiring DJ Moore. And then the Ravens putting a blowtorch to the rest of the AFC by acquiring Max Crosby. Of those 3 teams that made big moves, who's under the most pressure going into free agency starting tomorrow? And then, bottom line, easy question for you. Who's the best out of those 3 teams? Bills, Ravens, Rams. 310-840-4910 is the number. You can hit me up on YouTube as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment to Westwood One Sports on YouTube. Westwood One Sports Night, the official YouTube page, long-form content of the show, YouTube shorts, so on and so forth. And then you can get the entire show at the very end of this bad boy. Let's go out to the phones, though. Kevin is in South Carolina wanting to check in. Kevin, welcome into Westwood One Sports.
What's going on, my man?
What's going on, pal? How are you?
Man, just chill. I feel like Buffalo and Ravens both got pressure because as soon as Mahomes get back, he coming back with a vengeance. So they better get their life together. But run the ball, man. Like you playoff time, you got to run that ball, man. Josh Allen put too much on himself, and they put a lot on him. But you got to run that ball in the playoffs, man.
And here's the thing, too, right? it ain't like you handing it off to some run-of-the-mill running back. You're handing it off to the top 5 back in the sport in James Cook. You damn right. I don't know what the hell. That's what I'm saying. It feels like all the wrong people got fired in Buffalo.
Right. Like Buffalo's been so close, and they fought so much. But every year that they've lost, they haven't ran the damn ball. Run it. That fourth quarter, put the ball, run the clock out, win this ball game. But you keep putting it on Josh, then you keep giving teams another chance to come back down the field with this passing game when you stopping the clock.
I totally agree with you, pal. I appreciate you as always, Kevin. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, man. 310-840-4910. There are some free agent notes beginning to come out here because it's that season, man, where the rumors spread for no reason. So Jeremy Fowler is reporting that these teams are in on Alec Pierce, the receiver from the Indianapolis Colts, the Washington Commanders, Tennessee Titans, Las Vegas Raiders, and New England Patriots. Those are the teams that are in the mix, it feels like, for Alec Pierce. I am curious to know who's going to be the team to break the bank. Because I'll say this about Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce has put up numbies. Alex Pierce has had some pretty damn good production, despite, the quarterback position there being in Indianapolis being in flux. He has put up numbers. Last year, for Alec Pierce, the best year as a pro, and it was his best quarterback situation as a pro. 1,000 yards receiving, 22 yards of reception, 6 touchdowns. He is considered a viable, legit deep threat. Here's my thing with Alec Pierce and going out and breaking the bank for him. And this is where I'm going to sound maybe old. I don't know, maybe not old, but I look at the game through the lens of nuance. Ever since 7-on-7 exploded, and I'm a 28-year-old, so 7-on-7 really exploded and boomed when I was a junior in high school, when I was a sophomore in high school, junior, sophomore year. That's really when 7-on-7 took that next step. Ever since then, to me, receivers are a dime a dozen. You can draft one every single year that can come in and give you production. So I would have real doubts and reservations about going out and spending buku money on a free agent wide receiver because I know I can replenish that position through the draft without spending as much capital. So that's the first thing when it comes to Alec Pierce. The second thing is none of that really matters because teams are going to throw the bag at him anyway. His best fit to me when it comes to those teams that we just listed, Washington, Tennessee, Vegas, New England. Washington is the only team that actually has the receiver to complement him. He's not a number one. If New England signs him thinking that he has solved their problems and he is some number one wide receiver, your ass is grass. Las Vegas, they don't have a complimentary guy. Well, I guess you do in Brock Bowers because that's who you build your pass game around. So I'll shh on that. But Tennessee, Calvin Ridley, come on, guys. Washington's got Terry McLaurin, Alec Pierce lined up across from one another. I'd be in favor of it. 310-840-4910. It just depends on how much money he's going to cost. Apparently, $25 million per is the type of market we're looking at for Alec Pierce. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I'd be all in on doing it, but I know someone is. That legal tampering period in the NFL getting ready to open up tomorrow, noon Eastern time, is when teams can officially start negotiating contracts with the free agents out there. I expect deals to be announced as early as noon tomorrow because the NFL is full of a bunch of cheaters and they don't follow rules. But that's okay. That is A-okay because we're the beneficiary of it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have news all day long. Carlos with a K, you're a team, or you're a fan of a team that needs to be active in free agency. That is the New York Giants.
Reportedly.
Are you interested in Alec Pierce?
You know what? I wouldn't be mad at it because it looks like Wan'Dale Robinson might get a nice little deal with the Tennessee Titans. So I don't know if you want to get into a bidding war with them. So no. I could take Alec Pierce over Wan'Dale, no problem.
I'm interested to see how this ultimately moves forward, man. I am. The thing that gets me on the eve of free agency is just how many free agents there are in this crop. I am usually a firm believer that good football players that are young and have legit upside, they don't hit free agency. It's just not traditionally what happens. So I take everything with a grain of salt in terms of who folks think are the top 100 free agents and who folks are uber excited to go after. There are some names here that are really intriguing as a free agent. Jalen Phillips, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles, was in Miami. He's interesting to me because he's somebody that's just 27 years of age and still is probably, has his best football ahead of him, right? Alec Pierce is interesting for that reason. It just feels like to me if these dudes, and this is where I go buyer beware here, and as a Commander fan, like we've been through this before. We've seen money spent on free agents for these guys not to pan out. It's all about fit. Just because your team signs a free agent, just because you're given a good free agent grade for it, doesn't mean your team's going to be good next year. This is why this time of year always annoys the hell out of me. I don't like it when all 32 fan bases have optimism. We need a hierarchy here. I need my miserable fans. I need my fans that understand maybe we got a chance. I need my high rollers that are used to being here. And then I need my ignorant fans out there that hop in the YouTube chat and talk about 18-0 and 19-0 and running the table. I don't like when all 32 teams have optimism. I don't, because I don't like false
Spoken
hope.
like a jaded Commanders fan.
I'm telling you, I don't know. I've been here before, man. I don't do the false hope bit. That's not how I get down. 310-840-4910 is the number. This portion of the show brought to you by our pals at Progressive Commercial Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. 310-840-4910 is the number. We'll continue to roll through your calls. Ravens, Rams, Bills, all taking massive swings ahead of free agency. Which of those teams is under the most pressure as we get geared up for free agency? And who's the best of those three teams? Your calls on that next. Plus, I'll tell you why Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs are also being overlooked for the 2026 season. That's next here on Westwood One Sports.
Selection Sunday is a week from today.
on Friday night and their win over the Dallas Mavericks. And I know a lot of people out there, felt like Jason Tatum shouldn't have came back and that he's rushing it, that he's moving too fast. I also kind of felt that way. But then Myron Metcalf of ESPN put out a tweet that dropped a little bit of game on your boy. Dominic Wilkins, the year was 1992. He returned 283 days after an Achilles tear, and he was immediately an MVP candidate who averaged 28.8 points per game in his first season post-Achilles tendon tear. Jason Tatum returned on Friday night after 298 days on the shelf, and I was damn close to calling him Jason Triple-Double when I got on the airwaves this morning. 15 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. And if you watch the game the way that I did, Jason Tatum started off 0 for 6, finished 6 of 10. It is rare that an NBA team just gets to add a all-NBA caliber guy in the stretch run of the regular season. And for the folks that are worried about Boston and worried about Jason Tatum getting reacclimated, so to speak, right? He's got an entire runway, an entire month runway to figure things out here. An entire month to get back in his groove. I have no doubts about his ability to do that. None at all. None at all. The Boston Celtics, after getting Jason Tatum back and then after getting to lay eyes on him for a little bit, how is that not the clear-cut best team in the Eastern Conference? That is genuinely how I'm looking at this thing. How are they not the clear-cut best team in the Eastern Conference? Seriously. I'm poking a hole in everyone else's resume. I am. I'm poking a hole at the Pistons. Why, Lynnell? You said you love the Pistons. Feels like the NBA's figured out the Pistons. First and foremost, the fact that we're sitting here with a month left to go in the regular season, and they're only 3.5 games ahead of Boston, I think it's scary. I'm not convinced that Detroit's going to remain the number 1 seed. But my big issue with the Pistons is they don't have a legitimate second option outside of Cade Cunningham. And when you get into the postseason where you're playing a team 4 games in a row guaranteed, the scouting reports get a little bit more detailed, and they're going to do whatever they can to get the ball out of Cade Cunningham's hands. They're going to do whatever they can. I don't know who picks up the slack offensively. I don't know who else carries this group. And I know what they have on the perimeter from a shooting standpoint, right? But I'll tell you who they're missing. They're missing Malik Beasley. They are 110% missing Malik Beasley. He is the guy that was that second scorer for them last year and why they were able to, really go on a little bit of a mini run last year during the postseason. But I'm all in on the Boston Celtics after what we saw from Jason Tatum on Friday night. We get another data point coming up here this afternoon. Celtics and Cavs tip off at 1 p.m. Eastern time. 310-840-4910 is the number here on Westwood One Sports, taking you coast to coast as we get you up to 11 a.m. Eastern time. How updated is the call, Doc, guys? We just got the one still there? Or is that okay? Let's go out to let's do this bad boy then. Let's go out to our guy Matt in Nashville. Matt, of the 3 teams we mentioned, Ravens, Bills, Rams, who's under the most pressure? And of those 3 teams, who's the best as we get geared up for free agency?
So to me, the most pressure, I would say, is Josh Allen. Mahomes. So I'm from Missouri. Mahomes has been a thorn in that dude's side for a long time, and I think that's why Allen hasn't been able to get to the big show. But our team's hurting right now.
What about last year, though?
Last year, man, it was a tough year.
Can you just do me a favor to make me feel happy as a radio host? I just want all of America to be on the same page. So we're smart football fans. That's why y'all call into this program. That's why we take y'all calls. Say it with me. The Bills lost last divisional playoffs because Josh Allen sucked.
Yeah, he did. He really did. and that's why I think he's under the most pressure. So if the best out of the three, I would say the Rams. And then I wanted to touch on something that you had just said a little while ago. Receivers are a dime a dozen. Now, I live in Detroit. I'm from Missouri, and I travel for my job, so I'm never home. That's why I'm in Nashville. I wanted the Lions to go get Max Crosby because receivers are a dime a dozen. And I call into the Detroit radio show, and I pitched a trade idea. Send out J-Mo and, a first round and some other picks to go get Max Crosby because we desperately need that edge rush. But everyone's like, oh, no, we love our people. We love J-Mo. But, dude, receivers you can go on the street and get a receiver. All right, you can't go on the street and get an edge rush.
Damn.
A one-of-a-kind edge
streets,
rush.
brother? We had to go to the streets to get the receiver. But
I'm just saying.
I get you.
But
no, I'm just giving you a hard time, and I totally get you. I like that trade. Look, maybe they need to hire you in the damn Lions front office. Your Lions are screwed, pal. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if you left yet, but your Lions are screwed. The offensive line's banged up. The offensive line's in flux, and Jared Goff sucks in reality. If you can't protect them, and you know that they can't, now they've lost Glasgow, they've lost Decker, the Lions are going to regress back to the mean, and they won't make the playoffs for the second consecutive year.
That's what I keep telling people, and they're like, oh, they're not regressing. Okay, 3 years ago, you were at the championship game, you blew it. The year after that, you got knocked out of the playoffs. Last year,
the Lions haven't been the same since the Commanders punked them. I'll be honest.
Yeah, you're right. And, so I wanted them to make that trade. Ravens got a hell of a player in Max Crosby, so they're going to be a big threat. But,
I agree. I appreciate the call as always, my man. 310-840-4910 is the number. I got Matt in Nashville chiming in here. I'm glad he brought up the Kansas City Chiefs. We will get to the Kansas City Chiefs coming up here in about 10 minutes. But, man, as we sit here on the eve of free agency, as I complained about earlier, every team should feel like they've got a shot right now. Every team should feel like they have an opportunity to go to the big dance. We've seen the worst to first turnaround year in and year out, going back to 23. Houston came out of nowhere. Then Washington came out of nowhere. Then New England came out of nowhere. Who's the surprise team for this year? Who's the team that's going to take the NFL by storm in 2026? I know our guy Carlos with a K is praying every damn day that it's the New York Giants. I don't think the football gods are going to allow good things to happen to you guys until they investigate Steve Tisch. I can't go through a show without mentioning the fact that the Giants are in the NFL are trying to participate in one of the biggest cover-ups ever.
Oh, don't lump me in with that because I'm with you. I'll be right out there with Steve Tisch's office with pitchfork and flames.
But as we think about it here, man, in all sincerity, the Giants are on that short list of teams that I think could have that miraculous turnaround that we've seen. As I mentioned, Houston did it 23, Washington 24, New England last year. I look at the Giants as a team that could do it. The other interesting piece is this. There's a team out there that I feel like everyone looks at as a joke. I feel like there's a team out there that everyone kind of disrespects, and they've been, pretty active here over the past couple of days. What if the Raiders all of a sudden, with all of the cap space that they have, they got $81 million to spend? That, and you're armed with the number 1 overall pick, and you're armed with the 14th overall pick. They have the resources to complete the turnaround. But you know where they're going to screw up at? You know where they're going to make their franchise-altering mistake? Is going to be drafting that dweeb Fernando Mendoza. No business being the number 1 overall pick. It annoys the hell out of me. There's one legendary NFL analyst who agrees with me that Fernando Mendoza is not worth the number 1 overall pick. We'll let you hear from him and a whole lot of others coming up in the final hour of Power here on Westwood One Sports tonight. 310-840-4910 is the number. You can reach me a bunch of different ways, including on social media. Same handle on each and every platform. It is at NELL_BTP. You can check us out on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. Pat Mahomes may be back before you know it. I'll give you the details on that next. This is Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
crazy? If you heard the big voice guy say Westwood One Sports Night presents Lynnell Willingham, and then it wasn't Lynnell Willingham. That's not the case. Here I am, final hour of power. As we take you coast to coast on a Sunday morning, I get you up to 11 a.m. Eastern time. We'll talk a little bit more about the NBA before we get out of here. I want to talk a little bit more about college basketball. Crazy day yesterday in college basketball, and it feels like we're saying that each and every weekend as we get geared up for conference tournament season, as we get geared up for the NCAA tournament. There are 4 teams in the world of college basketball that are head and shoulders above the rest. I'll tell you who those teams are before we get out of here. 310-840-4910. I will wrap up the calls on the NFL with Double A from Maryland. And I hope Athen, I know who you are. The Commanders are so damn irrelevant that I would hate for you to bring that low-life organization to my national platform.
You eat, sleep, and breathe that team, so it has to be mentioned.
No, it doesn't. They don't move. They don't move the ratings at all. You're trying to get me fired talking about the Commanders. No one cares about the Washington Commanders outside of D.C.
Okay, well, look, we'll talk about the Buffalo Bills for a second because you've seen years and years of a team that's had a lot of talent on both sides of the ball, but has had catastrophic playoff losses. And they have a lot of free agents on defense, and that's been their Achilles heel when they go into the playoffs, in my opinion. And yeah, Josh Allen laid a turd in the playoffs, but the defense didn't do a whole lot to help him. So, I mean,
but when they're constantly being put on the field because he's turned it over 3-4 times. I mean, what do you expect out of the defense?
But look at his overall body of work over the last 7 years. Okay, it's not all him. I mean, anybody can have one bad game. All right, I'm just saying they have the most to prove because I mean they just traded it. I mean, okay, it's a late second round pick for DJ Moore. DJ Moore, I mean, good, solid player, but a lot of money to go into somebody I think they could have found in the second or third round for a lot cheaper. They need to address the defensive side of the ball. I think the Rams are the best team going into the coming season, and I will end on this. Mm-hmm. Let me just say this: the Washington team that you root for, okay, have made some moves that make me scratch my head. You got a guy who plays when he wants to, and Deron Payne staying on the roster at a $28 million cap hit, but you let your center, who's a solid, at least B-plus player, in my opinion, walk, and he's in Los Angeles now. What's the plan? Because their strongest thing last year, Lynnell, was their offensive line. They're about to lose two-thirds of it.
Yeah, that's why they're going to remain irrelevant on the national scale. It's a 5-win team, man. That just is what it is. It's like being forced to endure trauma. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're probably saying, why is he being so mean to the Commanders? Why is he being so mean to Washington? Look at his background. Yeah, I don't give a rat's ass about my background. My background is because I have a disease. My background is what it is because I have an illness. I'm sick. I'm a Commanders fan. I bleed it. I'm an addict. I'm wearing the patch right now, and I hate it. That stupid 5-win team with its boy toy quarterback that breaks his arm every time he gets touched. I'm sick of it. I want the Band-Aid ripped off.
You've gone to the dark side since you went to Westwood One.
Yeah, I'm tired of it. Everybody in D.C. clapping their hands and flapping their arms like seals because we hired David Blau and we hired Durante Jones. David Blau has called as many plays as I have in the NFL. And we're supposed to just believe it's going to work. They keep pulling the wool over our eyes, and we keep believing it. That blue-eyed, handsome devil Adam Peters and his overly toned calf muscles, go hit on a draft pick, you weenie.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't hit on those second-round picks very much, like guys like Johnny Newton. But I guarantee by draft time, you're going to rip that patch off again. You're going to shed blood, and you're going to.
I'm going to relapse. I'm going to relapse because I'm an addict.
There you go.
Athen, my man, I appreciate you, buddy. 310-840-49. I hate that you had to see me get like that, Carlos. I'm honestly embarrassed. I know that.
I loved every second of it.
Because I'm hurt, man. I'm hurt. I got this stupid maroon. It's not even burgundy anymore.
Oh, I can't empathize with that, man. You know, it feels good on this side.
You're just as much of a patient as I am. We're patients in the cycle.
I got a real franchise quarterback, not a fugazi one.
Wow. Now I won't let you talk
dart to the moon, baby.
I'm the only one that can talk about Jaden Daniels negatively on this show. Okay. You know what I hated last year? JD6. Kiss my ass. It's JD5. Jackson Dart 6. Evil Knievel. That crash dummy.
At least neither of them called themselves 9 and did absolutely nothing.
Oh, I know. What a horrible bit. JJ McCarthy's the biggest fraud. Everyone should have known that JJ was going to be a fraud, though.
1,000%.
Because if John Harbaugh ass won't let you throw the football, then you got a problem. I got Eric Wayne hits us up on YouTube and said, "What you eating for breakfast, my man?" You know what, champ?
Pancakes.
That's a hell of a question. That's a hell of a question. I don't feel like making anything, is what I'll say. I don't like to cook. First of all, I'm speaking for every man out there in America. We don't like to cook. You know what I'm saying? So it just is what it is. Like I do need to get breakfast.
You might have just called me a woman, bro.
You like to cook.
I don't. Well, all right, let me. I can still be a man and save myself in this. Well, I have to cook. I don't know if I like to cook, but I have to cook, and I'm pretty damn good at it.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, considering your ethnic background. It wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, like I don't know. I'm actually starting to think about it because I am getting hungry. Eric Wayne 2-3. I mean, it's at that point.
Yeah, me
show.
Too, Eric Wayne 2-3.
We're just at that point. I'm embarrassed though. Any of you all that heard me just go ballistic about the Commanders, I actually do apologize because they don't deserve that type of energy from me right now. Tomorrow's the start of free agency though, and I'll be honest with you, my tune will be changed in a matter of 24 hours. I'll be
don't think that video won't be making its way on social media.
310-840-4910. Oh, let's do it. Let's do this as well. I told you there was a couple of more things that I wanted to get to before we get out of here. We're going to talk some college basketball. We're going to tag in Carlos with a K, and we'll get you the best audio vault in all of sports talk radio and say what? And then we'll get you your cup of Joe to go, guys. I'm super duper excited for that. I missed it yesterday, Los. We did the whole switcheroo bit. You know we did yesterday, Los? We called it taking a shot. We just went full blown take a shot, get you ready for the weekend.
Yeah, man, that Saturday night pregame.
Come on, baby. Let's get into this. Jay Glazer, one of the most plugged-in NFL insiders in the National Football League, gave us an update on a quarterback we may have forgotten about. Take a listen.
Pain threshold's different. His work ethic's different. So, well, at first they're like, oh, start of the season. I think I would probably hedge on him being, sooner than that.
Jay Glazer was talking about one Pat Mahomes. So according to Jay Glazer of Fox Sports, he expects Pat Mahomes ready, quote, far before week 1. Maybe I'm in the minority with this, and I'm just oblivious. I was under the impression, didn't he tear his ACL in week 16, week 15? I was under the impression that next year was just off the table for Pat. I was under the impression that we just weren't going to see Pat Mahomes next year. That's what I thought. That's what I assumed. Clearly, I'm making an ass out of you and me. I assumed that Pat Mahomes would be on the shelf for all the next year. If he's back and healthy, and they're armed with the number 9 overall pick, and they add Jeremiah Love, a easy button for this offense, good night. Honestly. Good night. They're probably the most overlooked team in the NFL right now outside of Philadelphia. How quickly they forget about you when you're not in the Super Bowl, huh? How quickly they forget about you. Oh, and I know, Carlos, you want to come spewing your propaganda. Our resident Kansas City Chiefs hater who accurately predicted their demise this year.
Damn straight.
What do you think about the move to move on from Trent McDuffie? I like it because I know how Kansas City treats the cornerback position. Charvarius Ward, L'Jarius Sneed. We've seen Marcus Peters. Whenever they don't sign these DBs to second contracts because they are turning into the DBU of the NFL.
Yeah, as a standalone move itself, moving on from McDuffie, I don't like it. Now, I do like the fact that they're getting 4 picks over from the Rams because Lesney just hasn't met a pick that he likes.
Yeah.
But here's my problem with the Chiefs, because I don't know if I feel comfortable doubling down on their death like I did last year. Last year, I saw it come in. This year, it's too easy to see it come in. Kansas City Chiefs, what they've done last year and what they've done this offseason, all they're doing is just moving on from talent, and that's not how you get better. They need to add, and to go to your point, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see what they do in the draft. If they can get younger, faster, and surround Mahomes with, quality weapons, because, Kelsey ain't it anymore. He's only there because of what he's done.
I'll say this not to cut you off real quick, Carlos. Travis Kelce's asked to go. Travis Kelce is nothing but a distraction at this point.
Yeah. But you know what? You could say that for some of the receivers that he has right now. Rashee Rice has been low-key a distraction, too. Too many legal troubles off of the field. These guys just need to stay healthy. And Chiefs like I said, they got to get younger and faster because that core has gotten old. Travis Kelce's got to go. And I don't know how much longer Chris Jones can do it as well at a high level, too. This year, it might just be based on Mahomes getting healthier and reasserting himself back as that top-tier quarterback option. I don't know if the Chiefs can make it back to the playoffs this year, but I'm not as quick to bury them like I was last year because the draft is around the corner.
Yeah, that's the thing that really makes me confident in them. They have the draft. And say what you want about Kansas City. I don't know how many bad things you could say about them or organizationally. They have drafted well. Brett Veach is one of the best general managers in all the NFL. They have routinely drafted well. And I expect that to continue. That's probably the most scary thing about Kansas City this year. They are armed with the number 9 overall pick, and they also have pick number 29 via the Los Angeles Rams. That's a chance for them to add not 1, but 2 starters coming up here. They're armed with their 2nd round pick. So they're in a really, really, really good spot right now. I got Kenny B hitting us up on the old YouTube saying, great show. Appreciate you, pal. You all can hit us up on YouTube as well, man. Westwood One Sports Night. Search it, like, subscribe, comment for all the long-form content of the show, YouTube shorts, etc. Pine Needle says, Carlos, you and I both like to cook, and that's not a bad thing. A Pine Needle Carlos cook-off is what the bookers are thinking here.
I wonder if he's going to cook the litany of emojis that he sent us.
Yeah, I'm about to say, what the hell is this?
How do you cook a pretzel?
By the way, can I ask you a question that will divulge just what type of character dude you are, Carlos?
Sure.
When you are eating a warm, salted, big baked pretzel, what is your condiment of choice?
Well, I like my pretzels. I like my pretzels sweeter rather than sour. Ooh. So you ever see me at the Auntie Annie stand getting that glaze and raisin or that cinnamon sugar pretzel? You got to get the sweet glaze with it. Oh, God. Now I'll put somebody in the dirt for one of those right now.
When you start talking about glazed pretzels, I put this voice on. But no, mustard was the right answer. If you're gonna go salt, mustard, baby. Mustard's the right answer. If we're gonna go salt with the baked pretzel, mustard, baby. I'm a mustard guy. Pine Needle says, I'll be frying up in the smoker in about 2 hours and using all my barbecues. Pine Needle, where are you located out of, man? Because it is about that time, man. So we had daylight savings last night. And Carlos, thank you. Because if it wasn't for you, nobody would have told me. I would not have known. So shout out.
Oh,
to
I
you.
knew you were screwed with that turnaround.
Bro, I literally had no clue that daylight savings happened. I'm out in the DMV out in Maryland right now. Dude, we're supposed to hit 73 degrees today. What the hell's happening? Hold on. I'm
Being
looking
in
at
New
the
York,
forecast.
we're supposed to hit 60 ourselves.
Wow. Northern California. Okay, Pine Needle. This is incredible.
He's one of the king of North Kakalaki subjects, Josh Graham.
North California. North California. North California.
Oh, I thought it said Carolina. That's too
I also
early.
thought it said Carolina. Well, so 73
1
today.
hour,
We're
baby.
supposed to hit 78 on Tuesday. And then it goes back to 45 degrees on next Tuesday. And it's supposed to snow.
Yeah, you guys got better weather than we do. So it's supposed to be 65 today, 63 and sunny the next 2 days. Then it goes right back down to 50s and 40s.
I think it's time to break out my old weight vest. I say this all the time. If you're in the youngest in charge and you're out there and you're a bachelor like myself searching and you're on the prowl. Last year, I would say I didn't make the playoffs. The playoffs are summer. Summer's the playoffs. Where you're eligible to be out on the beach with your shirt off, doing the whole nine, getting fed grapes. I did not qualify for the postseason last year. One thing's for certain, two things for sure. I will be playing in the playoffs this year, damn it.
Man, I am the 90s Detroit Lions, if you know what it means, for the last 7 to 8 years, brother.
Well,
it's a drought out here in these streets. Matter of fact, call me the Jets. Although this summer, this postseason run's about to be epic. I'm about to go on some Joe Flacco Baltimore Ravens run.
Man, it feels like this is how maybe I know I'm getting old as a 28-year-old.
Yeah, try 40.
I knew every time. I knew when I said that you were going to meet me with that. The calendar year is going by really fast.
Yes.
Like, once Christmas passes, it's like it's summer again. Like, it's absolutely incredible.
Which I don't mind because this has been an absolutely brutal winter.
It has been, but I hate the spring. Spring's the stupidest.
It's so dumb. It's a waste of a season.
Yeah, that's what it's called, a season. I almost called spring a summer. I was going to say spring's the stupidest summer we got. I have allergies, and it's like I already am feeling myself begin to wheeze, and that's not fun. So that's the only reason I hate the spring, because I have probably the worst allergies possible. Is that an inhaler you got on your will? I have one too. I just need to re-up on my albuterol. Is how I would it's how I would put it. Couple more things I want to get to before we get out of here. We're going to bring you the best audio vault in all of sports talk radio coming up with Say What? But then I gotta toot my horn a little bit, man. I'm the only one that's had the kahunas to say that Fernando Mendoza shouldn't be the number 1 overall pick. I'm the guy. Well, there's a pretty legendary NFL films analyst who's on the same page as the youngest in charge. Let's hear from Greg Cosell, NFL Films, next.
One of the offseason's biggest dominoes has fallen. Max Crosby.
and he is the Heisman Trophy winner and national champion from the University of Indiana, Fernando Mendoza. Now, here's the thing about Mendoza for me. It's not that I don't think he's deserving of being a first-round pick. I just don't think he's deserving of being the number 1 overall pick. In a draft where you got Jeremiah Love and Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs and Reuben Bain and Cornell Tate and Jordan Tyson and David Bailey. The list goes on and on. All of those dudes I just mentioned, David Bailey, Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, even Spencer Fano. I just look at those dudes having a higher upside at their position than Mendoza does at his. At his best, I think Fernando Mendoza is a poor man's Jared Goff, which is what, guys? A quarterback that you can win with, not a quarterback that you win because of. Like, let's just call it what it is, right? Like, that's how I look at Fernando Mendoza. And ain't nothing wrong with Jared Goff. But you understand that Jared Goff has limitations. You understand that Jared Goff has to be put in an ideal set of circumstances for him to succeed. My big questions about Fernando Mendoza are, well, how do you act, brother man, when it's not 75 degrees and sunny? You played for the best team in all of college football. You had one of the best offensive lines in all of college football. You had one of the better 1-2 punches at wide receiver. Talking about Surratt and Omar Cooper. Omar Cooper going to be a first-round pick guaranteed, right? Your defense was one of the best in the country. You're going to the projects, pal. I'm going to be very real with you. You going to the Las Vegas Raiders, your ass is going to the projects. You understand what I'm saying? So this, to me, is not a hard debate. This, to me, is not something that should be really discussed much. He's not worth the number 1 pick. And that's no shade at him. I think making him the number 1 pick is a total disservice to the rest, or discredit rather, to the rest of the NFL prospects, man. If I'm Arvell Reese, there's no way I'm thinking Fernando Mendoza is going to have a bigger impact than me. If I'm Jeremiah Love, there's no way I'm thinking Fernando Mendoza is going to have a bigger impact than me. I can't feel that way. Here's the thing, though. I've been saying this through the entire pre-draft process. Now there's one person in my corner, and let's just say he's got a fair amount of clout and cachet. One of the most respected film gurus in the business, Greg Cosell of NFL Films, the OG, had this to say about Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza.
He's not a playmaker. He's a higher level executor of a well-schemed pass game. He's an efficient and consistent ball distributor from the pocket. And that doesn't look as cool as guys running around. Now, when you watch someone like Mendoza, he made certain kinds of throws within their offense. He didn't work the middle of the field very often. There was a significant emphasis on RPO concepts and back shoulder fades. There weren't many throws between the numbers at the intermediate levels. You have to evaluate that. But the bottom line is, for him to be a higher level success in the NFL, 2 foundations of his game must be pocket efficiency and precise ball placement. And he's kind of shown he can do that. It's just he didn't really make all the kinds of throws that you want to see. Doesn't mean he can't do it. His arm is good. But my point with him is that he kind of plays the position old school. It's probably why Tom Brady really likes him, because he kind of plays the position that way. He's not a runaround guy. You know, he's a subtle, nuanced, detailed, disciplined craft kind of quarterback. And for some reason, we don't talk about that as if those are traits.
So they're not traits. I'll just be honest with you, right? Here's the thing. How would Tom Brady survive behind that Raiders offensive line? He'd die. He'd get killed. So that's my whole thing when it comes to Fernando Mendoza. I know what it looks like for him when it's 75 and sunny. I know what it looks like for him when the conditions are ideal. I just don't look at him as a guy that elevates others. And if you're going to be deserving of the number 1 overall pick, you bet your ass you better have that trait. You better be able to make others around you better, because you're going into, like I said, this is how I can compare it, man. You've been driving around in a Rolls-Royce Cullinan for the past year, at the University of Indiana. You're about to be in a box Chevy. I'm telling you. You see that broke down ass Honda Civic that J. Cole was riding around in? You're going to be driving around in one of them. It's not the same set of circumstances in Vegas as it was clearly, right? As it was clearly at Indiana. It's totally different.
What, about to have Fernando Mendoza on the cover of the Fall Off.
Seriously. And I'm not trying to. And we all have been there before, though, Will. That's what it is, what it is. But we're not the number 1 overall pick in the draft. That's the difference. That's the difference. And I'm so glad that a respected football analyst had this opinion. Because I've been saying this for about a month and a half now. And it's not a slight to Fernando. I just am higher on the other prospects in the class rather than him. That's the difference for me. Bottom line. 310-840-4910 is the number to reach me here if you got a problem with anything that I said. See how I'm geeking for smoke? I'm like a smoke alarm right now. I want all the smoke with you guys. But no, because I get passionate about the Fernando Mendoza conversation because people think that I'm just hating on the brother. What am I mad at? Denton Day, our producer during the week on Westwood One Sports Night, got on me, Carlos, and said that you just don't like him because he's a nerd, and he said he doesn't have time for girls. Alert, 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 alert. That's a problem. What number 1 overall pick have we seen that ain't got a girlfriend, guys? Huh? And I'm not trying to make it seem like that's the end-all, be-all, but, like, the kid's just a little strange to me. He looks like somebody that, like, would eat an orange without peeling it and call himself a tough guy for it. You know? Our guy Pine Needle says, whether you're driving a Ferrari or a Hoopty, as long as you're a good driver. Oh, Pine Needle. What would we do without you? You kind fellow. My guy Eric Wayne says, we should be on the lookout for the Broncos. Finally off the books from that Russ contract. Already a top 5 defense, one of the wealthiest owners in football, and most importantly, a good young quarterback. E. Wayne is what I'm going to call you, Eric Wayne. That was a hell of a point, bro, man. The Broncos, the only thing about Denver, why the hell is Sean Payton giving up play calling duties to some dude named Webb? Davis Webb is the offensive coordinator. But, like, who the hell is Davis Webb? We got to stop this in the NFL where we just give guys jobs because they were good backup quarterbacks. Are you kidding? We're doing it in Washington. My Washington Commanders, man, I'm supposed to, love everything about this year. I'm supposed to be all in. I'm supposed to assume that we're going to bounce back. And we got some random jag calling plays this year. And I know if my DC audience is listening right now, they're probably going, some random jag? How could you dare talk about David Blau like that? You all out there listening in DC have called more plays than David Blau. And I'm supposed to trust him? Now this is going to end up as a Commander's diatribe once again. You see the background if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're not, what the hell are you doing? Like, subscribe, comment, search Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube so you can get all this great content that we got for you. But but I will say this about my beloved Commanders real quick because I know there's a lot of people tweeting at me right now asking me Commanders-related questions. So here's what I did, Carlos. I stirred up the pot in Command Land. I have a X account that's mine, by the way. Can I reiterate that? It's my account. I do's what's the hells I wants to do with my account. I woke up this morning, I was feeling frisky. You know what I decided to tweet? I tweeted the eyeball emoji. And people are losing their minds. What do you mean? What's happening? What's going on? Someone even had the kahunas to tell me to shut up. As if I had said anything.
You're channeling your inner Lamar Jackson where you just drop random gifts with the Denzel. I'm
That
like, all
gift
right,
was
let
not
you all
random.
have at it.
I will say that that gift was probably that gift was probably not random. Let's get to it though, man. The most highly anticipated audio vault in all of sports talk radio. It is time for Say What? Say what?
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you.
All right, Samuel.
No.
I ain't gonna say it, brother.
That's the old bed.
Oh,
That's the old bed. Now,
That's
matter of
but
fact,
it's still
Will
good.
Curb. I'm gonna call you to carpet. We're gonna kill this bed right now.
Oh wow. Are
Can-
we calling an audible?
Call it an absolute audible. I will email it again because we deserve to hear this.
Can I use the opportunity to show off my mimicking skills? Before the play was blown dead, timeout, Carlos.
You got 15.
Calling an audible is good sometimes. At least we have the freedom to call an audible. At least we have the trust of our play caller to call an audible.
Good.
Uh-oh. Oh. That
Attaboy.
was fire. Okay. I see why we
God
call
bless
it
you, Will Kirby.
I see why we
That's
call
why
it
we go
audible.
ahead
That
and call
was
it.
amazing.
And
Shout out to the big voice guy. Shout out to the production. Are you kidding me?
And
that may be the best piece of production we got on. That was amazing.
And it was also done with 1 hour less sleep. Thank you, Daylight. All right, say what? Let's finally get into the best audio in sports. Let's lead off with Dick Vitale, longtime college basketball analyst. He does his work on ESPN. We obviously know about that. But I'm wanting to bring attention to one team in college basketball that has really underperformed with the amount of money that they put into that roster through the NIL. I take you to the SEC, otherwise known as the South. Got a couple of teams in there: Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, Vanderbilt. All of those guys are ranked. Lynnell, you know who's not ranked? Kentucky. Kentucky right now, 10-8 on the conference. They're sitting at 19-12 overall. Brother, what a disappointment. Here's Dick Vitale talking about the construction of Kentucky's roster.
Didn't think I bumped the ref. I thought I got close to like yelling at John and Mitch.
I'm going to say this right here. Win or lose, I've done several now Kentucky games. Win or lose, $22 million this team of reports are in terms of the NIL for their players. I think at $22 million, they could have put together a better roster than they did. I really do.
Can I be honest? I didn't like that Dickie V did that. I didn't like when Fran Fraschilla thought he was a smart ass last night, talking about the kid from BYU saying he makes too much money to be missing those shots. Can you all stop it? See, we love capitalism. We love capitalism until the athlete is the one benefiting from it. All this, you know what I call that from Dickie V? And I love me some Dick Vitale, one of the absolute best. Stop sneak dissing. You don't like that Kentucky spent $22 million on their roster. Guess what, pal? You know how much money the NCAA and True TV and CBS, the TV rights deal that they got, that's a multi-billion-dollar deal. So God forbid some kids make a couple $1 million playing college basketball or college football. We got that stupid orange-headed president of ours. Instead of worrying about real political issues, he's got a bunch of bozos up at the White House sitting there spitballing on how to fix college athletics. You know how we can fix college athletics? If the folks in the White House shut up. That's how we can fix college athletics. The NCAA, now you've got me on the soapbox, Carlos, because this is the one issue all weekend that has frustrated the everlasting hell out of me. We don't like capitalism, or we love capitalism until some other folks, and I'm big air quotes on other folks, begin to capitalize on it. Are you kidding me? I think the conversation in college football is even more ridiculous. When you think about ESPN and the deal that they have with the college football playoff, they signed a deal 6 years, $7.9 billion deal. And we're complaining about kids getting paid? My ass. Now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Back to our regularly scheduled program. Although that was the regularly scheduled program. I'm with you. Dick Vitale, quick to kill players, never says anything about a coach. Never. Fraud. Let's go to Max Crosby, who's obviously been dominating the headlines in the NFL offseason. Story carousel for the last 48 hours. He's going to the Ravens. This is courtesy of his The Rush podcast. Matt Crosby says goodbye to Raider Nation.
Can't believe that this is a real thing. It's been 7 years being with the nation. Raider Nation has given me everything. My family. I've had the chance to get married, have the most beautiful daughter in the world, grow as a man, as a player, as a leader, as a human being. And one thing I could say above all else is that I gave y'all everything I got, and I have no regrets about that. I put everything into trying to win as a Raider. Damn, I was I'm not trying to get emotional already, but it's tough, man.
Shout out to Max Crosby, man. One of the realest dudes in the game. I wish him nothing but the best in Baltimore with the Ravens. Hopefully he can get some hardware. What else we got?
All right, I got one more over here that I find very fascinating. The WBC is underway. USA is one of the teams that are favored. Japan, Dominican Republic are your other favorites. But Bryce Harper, we call him a star in baseball anymore? I guess he's still a name, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Kind of. Yeah. So, but you know what? I found some comments that he said very fascinating. Even though we're in the start of the WBC, he's already looking ahead. He's pining for Olympic baseball. Here's Bryce Harper.
Fighting for LA 28 for a long time. I think my whole career I've been trying to get, something started or something coming up. Obviously the WBC has been great, but it's not the Olympics, right? That's no disrespect to the WBC or anything, but everybody knows that when the Olympics are on, everybody's watching. Don't matter what sport it is. It could be the most random sport, and it's got, all the fans watching it. So I'm hoping, LA 28 happens. I'm hoping the next CBA agreement, something can happen where teams and players can come to an agreement on taking that 2-week break, especially it being, in our home country. It'd be great for baseball. You talk about growing the game and, being able to grow it at the highest level would help out tremendously.
I mean, my ears were bleeding listening to that fraud, Bryce Harper. First and foremost, does he not understand that the Olympics happening during the Major League Baseball season would kill the sport even more? Who the hell is going to wait 2 weeks and then allow you all to continue your unnecessarily long-ass 162-game season? Why would I do that? The WNBA was stuck on stupid when they decided to do an Olympic break in the middle of their 15-game season, like somebody was going to give a damn afterwards.
I got a solution. If you really want to play in the Olympics, you get rid of the All-Star break. That every 4 years, there's no All-Star game. You just go right into Olympics, and you make the break 2 weeks, and whoever gets on, gets on. Bryce Harper, you might not even be on the roster in 2 years, brother. You pining for the Olympics, man. Worry about the WBC going on right now.
Worry about the fact that this is going to be the last season of Major League Baseball that people care about for a while. I've already drawn my line in the sand. Straight! And we're not talking about an umpire saying it. It's going to be the union saying it. That's going to do it for Say What, the most highly anticipated audio segment in all of sports talk radio. Coming up next, you know how we finish things up on Saturday and Sunday morning. We'll give you a cup of Joe to go, something to get you revved up for your Sunday afternoon. That's next.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
One final segment left to go. We're on Westwood One Sports Night. Taking you coast to coast with the youngest in charge, Lynnell Willingham. We only have like 5 minutes left, so the show's wrapping up quickly. I told you I wanted to hit on some basketball real quick. Cavs and Celtics coming up 1 p.m. Eastern time from Ohio. I'm excited for that one. Second game back for one Jason Tatum, who we were close to calling Jason triple-double after he had 15, 12, and 7 in his season debut after 290 days on the shelf. Enough of me, though. It's a Sunday morning. Some of you all probably just getting out of your church service, going on and get ready to have some good lunch. I hope. But wherever you're going, wherever this Sunday morning is going to take you, I hope we make it better for you, giving you a cup of Joe to go.
Oh, what a segue. You're an absolute professional.
Well, thank you.
And it's funny because Sunday mornings is good for coffee, which is why I like the segments. Get your breakfast going on, getting out of church, got to go get a brunch or whatnot. There we go. A little black coffee.
Apple just took
Sunday's is also
$10.59 from me, and I'm pissed. Total aside. Jeez Louise.
Sunday mornings also means music. So when I'm going to be cleaning up in the apartment in a little bit, play some music on. I mean, my wife likes to bump some stuff when she cleans too. Segue for me. You know who's in music? Madonna. Not necessarily my cup of Joe, but Madonna ran rush out over the 90s. She is a generational artist, whether you like her music or not. And she was very influential in the fashion world as well, to the point where Spanish soccer team, Celta Vigo, they're desperately trying to reach out to Madonna because at a 1990 concert in Spain, she wore one of their jerseys. And they don't know what it looks like. They want Madonna to find a soccer jersey that 35 years ago.
Is this like a real request, or are they like trolling?
Not on social media.
She probably didn't even know what she ate for dinner the last night. Like, just Madonna.
I don't know if she knows where she is right now,
Yeah,
but the
she's
soccer
just
club is
basically-
hoping that they can add the jersey into their archives. So they've reached out to her for social media. They've played her video at like one of their games. So they're going all out to try to get Madonna to find this football shirt. Strike
Madonna.
pose.
Yeah, right. Like, well, poor Madonna, I guess is what I should be saying. The fact that she's being asked to do this, it's kind of silly. What's the name of the soccer club?
Celta Vigo.
Celta Vigo. Okay. Is this Madonna in the background?
Yeah, that's Vogue, baby. Man, I understand you're a little too young.
Yeah, Madonna means nothing to me. I'm sorry. I mean, some people say she's hot. I don't even know if that's true. Did you see this, Carlos? In the great state of New York, we're getting ready to get our first Apple Hop. You know what Apple Hop is?
I
Or
have no idea what that
IB's?
is.
Applebee's IHOP collab restaurant.
Oh, I'm all in.
Coming to New York. That would be the New York Post. There we go. Madonna,
That's a
a
couple.
cool new restaurant in New York for your cup of Joe to go. Appreciate you all locking into us, man. Continue to tap in each and every weekend for Sports Saturday and Sports Sunday, right here, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time with the youngest in charge, with Carlos with a K. We appreciate you locking in. Subscribe to us on YouTube and check out the visual element of the program. Just search Westwood One Sports Night, long-form content, including full segments, YouTube shorts, and at the end of this bad boy, you get all 3 hours in its entirety. Thank you to your calls. Thank you to our guy Carlos with a K. Thank you to Charles Davis. Thank you to our guy Will. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. Get your popcorn ready. The legal tampering period of the NFL gets underway tomorrow. I'll recap it all on Westwood One Sports. What?
This is Westwood One Sports.